Welcome to Acute Conversations, the official podcast of APTA Acute Care, where we share engaging conversations about acute care physical therapy so you can connect to your profession. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Leo. In today's episode, our guests are Leslie Ayres, Rajashree Mondkar, and Terry Schwing. Today we discuss their upcoming webinar, Vital Pathway, Advancing Physical Therapy in Cardiovascular and Pulmonary Specialty.
Enjoy the show.
All right, welcome to this episode of Acute Conversations, the official podcast of APTA Acute Care. Today, we have some of the guest speakers for one of our upcoming webinars. The title is Vital Pathways, Advancing Physical Therapy in Cardiovascular and Pulmonary Specialty. Today on the show, we have Leslie Ayres and Rajashree Mondkar. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate you doing this.
So let me just lead with the first question. Why do we need this webinar? Why is this webinar something that's important? And why should our listeners be interested in coming to be part of the webinar?
You want to go, Leslie, first?
Sure. I think that I'm excited to be a part of this webinar, having had the residency experience. So we're going to kind of dive in a little bit to each of our pathways to getting to the CCS. And I think it's just exciting to hear those different ways. If that's something that someone is thinking about or interested in pursuing, just knowing what's out there, what's available, and what each of those will look like as you think about your career path and trajectory and what you want to do as an individual moving forward to specialization.
Do you anticipate during this webinar that you'll be speaking to people pursuing their CCS or other clinical specialists as well?
That's a great question. I think I'm hoping that we're engaging the population of those who are pursuing their CCS or even maybe starting to think about what specialization looks like. So starting to think about if that was something I wanted to do, what would that look like and how do I get involved? And even just to start thinking in your brain, oh, maybe that's something I'm interested in. My pathway came from an email that I saw because I was in a listserv. So I think anything to spark that idea of, oh, I could do this too, is what we're trying to target and talk about with this webinar. Or that would be one of my goals for sure.
Roger, let me ask you too.
I think
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, for me, anybody who wants to do any specialization and they have passion and spark, those are the people I want to tune in and understand there is not one way to get there. That's all.
When you say there's not one way to get there, I know just as a little sneak peek into what this webinar will be like, you're talking about a couple different pathways to achieving the CCS specifically, but these can be true across all clinical specialties, right? So what preceded these pathways for you in terms of your clinical practice or the patients that you were seeing? What made you, even before you got on the path, what inspired you? Gave you the spark, I think is the word you use.
For me, I've been in cardiopulmonary, and I did my physical therapy in India. I'm from overseas. So I was always drawn towards that, I would say, even as a PT student. And then I got into cardiopulmonary, and so it's a little bit different than here as much as for cardiopulmonary. And I always thought if I have passion for this patient population, I want to know more. And then when I came to this country, kind of validation for what you know and test your knowledge. But of course, I had to balance between what we did overseas there and how it's practiced here. It was a good learning curve, I think. And what I mean different pathways is, yes, there is fast track doing residency. That way you qualify to get into for CCS because there are prerequisites. And Terry can talk when he joins for different things. But like I did the old fashioned way where I had hours, I had research, and I just wanted to see what happens. And I did this when not too many people, I was first in my hospital when I was here to do any kind of specialization.
Wow.
because I did that in 1994, and I was probably the second in Texas for CCS. So there was not much out there. Even I did not know what does it mean
Hmm.
professionally. I just wanted to pursue it and see what happens.
That's
Didn't do
great.
it.
As a fellow person who did my clinical specialty the old fashioned way, also, I can appreciate where it's more of that desire to keep learning even after you've been at it for a bit, right? It's not inaccessible just because you've been out practicing. Leslie, what about you? What kind of clinical
Right.
experiences up front led you onto your path?
Yeah, I started my career in a hospital, so in the acute setting. I loved it. And I started, I think, in my practice. And as I just continued to grow as an acute care therapist, I discovered that I loved being in the ICU and I wanted to see those patients. I loved kind of the mental work that went on behind the scenes of, is this patient safe to move? Is it the right time? Is it the right patient to do these things? And so that's what inspired me to move towards the specialization. And I'm happy that we're hopefully working towards something with acute care, but CCS was the pathway that kind of was open at the time that I was doing it. And that's really what inspired me, was just, I was thinking, I want to know more about these patients. I want to get better at treating these patients. I want to be an expert at this at my hospital and lead a team of amazing therapists who are going to do this work. And so that was what inspired me to move into that. And and again, I wasn't seeking out a residency. I literally saw an email on a listserv and I thought, oh, this is something that sounds cool. They're looking for people. It seems like this would be something really fun to do. And I can make it work for a year. It's a year-long program. I could do anything for a year. Let me go see. So that's how it came up. I wasn't really thinking about it, but it was a time in my career. I actually did it. I didn't go to residency straight out of school. I had been practicing for about 5 years before I did the residency. And although it was hard to step back into the learner role, I think that it was really beneficial to know how to be an acute care therapist, and then learning that specialization on top of that. And I was excited for it and wanted to learn more and progress my career. And this was a great pathway to do all of those things at once.
That's awesome. Rajashree, I think that's so cool too that you were the second CCS in the state of Texas. Was that what you said?
Yeah, if my memory is right, there was somebody in Dallas who
Uh-huh.
did it. So I don't know how long she was. And then I did it. And then after me, I know a few of my friends, like, okay, I know cardiopulmonary.
I felt like maybe 10, 15 years ago, there were only like a handful of CCSs from state to state. So I feel that it's growing and that specialty is gaining some momentum. Through that, can both of you
Yes.
talk a little bit about some of the different people that you've met and some of A, being mentored by some of the people that are already CCSs, that are cardiopulmonary specialists, or people that you've mentored through becoming a specialist?
Yeah, sure. So like I said, I think the person who helped me, like, I didn't know, and there were no, I had not done CEUs, I had not done any courses. There was no, I don't think I was using internet either. So I was just going old fashioned books and I don't know what to expect. There used to be a booklet of what do you expect sample test, few 5 questions or something, and the practice description of practice. And Joanna Wachi, I think I met her somewhere. I'm trying to remember if it was ACVPR or was it CSM, where she said, "Oh yeah, you can do it." And she said, "I did a couple of courses for like teaching courses. I can send you those books. I have it." And she sent some. And after that, and who came here also in US, she did it a couple of years after me. And then I used to hear about people being interested, but cardiopulmonary is such a niche thing. A lot of people were struggling because they did not have the research part of it, and
Mhm.
that was hard to get for clinicians. So residency and fellowship helped with that, because automatically I think that 1 year and hours and everything happened. So yeah, and then as I went out, and there's a couple of people contacted me after I became, and they wanted to know what I did. I just explained, like, just the old fashioned way, textbooks, read up, look up whatever I could. And to go from there. And then once we had acute care residency and critical care fellowship at Houston Methodist, where I work, whoever went through, I would encourage, especially the fellows. I'm like, you got to do CCS. And so few people did there. And I would say just dive in, read up from basics. I think Leslie may have different ways, huh?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've really loved from the CCS side is, and the mentoring and just the relationships, is not only going through residency and then meeting like a whole nother team of therapists who I've gotten to work with and learn from, and then bring that knowledge back to where I was. But I think also the bubble of people who are CCS, the Venn diagram of CCS people and acute care people often overlaps. And so that's been really great too, to see how that's not all acute care is. I totally get it. There are lots of other things, but seeing that overlap and being able to be involved with those folks in acute care academy and cardio academy and through different conferences and educational sessions and those sorts of things, I think that's really been one of the great parts about it, is developing those relationships. And I know Leo from this, but we can work on this. And that's what I've really loved, is just getting to know people, see the different facets of their practice and what they do from even in education. And so that's been really neat, and one of, I think, the rewarding things of having this great network that all of a sudden comes together when you embark on these journeys.
Absolutely.
I think that's a great word, network. As you were both talking, just thinking about the massive impact on the network that you've both had and will continue to have over time. I know you also mentioned about that the CCS, as we all know, has the research side of it, that you have to collect and assess and disseminate a project related or prior to being approved to sit for your CCS. I'm curious what projects both of you had in your journeys. What was your research?
Oh, wow. Okay, you're asking me to think back.
It couldn't have been too far.
I'm going up for research this year, so
maybe just the 60-second count. Yeah. Maybe do you have to do one for your research, or you?
No, I don't. The MOX program.
I have done a project on, yeah.
Go ahead, Rajashree.
Okay. Now, I had done a project on myocardial infarction patients and upper extremity exercise and how heart rate responses are different with upper versus lower. So I use that study towards this.
That's great.
And for me, I did, during my residency, I did a quality improvement project with education. And we all have education and things we should tell patients, but do we feel comfortable with that education if you're not on this track or working with that population all the time? So I did a pre and post after some targeted education for the staff, and kind of looked at like comfort levels with being able to educate patients who have heart failure and what that looks like and follow through. And it was really rewarding to get into that side of it. And sometimes it's hard as a clinician sometimes to think about the research piece. Yeah. But I think there's so much out there. Clinicians have, now I'm on the education side, but clinicians have so many great ideas. And so I love that it forces you to do that a little bit. I think anytime we specialize, it's probably forcing us to get out of our comfort zone a little. And so having that research piece helps to think about it in a different way.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I think even just having to think about that, what we're doing in the clinic needs to translate to a way to disseminate this so others can learn too.
It looks like Terry is on the recording, so I'm going to add him to the stage here, so we can add him in here.
Perfect. Oh, he's gonna come on in, Terry.
Hi, Terry.
How are y'all doing?
Welcome. So glad to have you.
I'm glad to be here. I'm sorry I'm running a little late.
Better late than never. We're happy to
tell by what you're wearing, you weren't at a dinner party, I'm assuming.
So we were just talking about the research requirement for the CCS and what you did for yours.
Gosh, I'm trying to remember. I believe it was, we looked at, I think, ICU discharge location and then different outcome measures that in correlation with discharge on the PERMI ICU score, the AMPAC, and oh goodness, there was a third outcome measure, and I don't remember what it was.
You'll have to bring it back at your
Was it-
webinar.
For all three of you that are presenting, one thing that's interesting is that part of our audience are a lot of students, right? And of course, I would want all of my students to consider specializing in getting their CCS down the line. But what advice can you give to maybe just students who are not even in clinicals yet, just why it would be important and why they should possibly down the road consider specializing and maybe even more specifically specializing in the CCS?
Yeah, I think that's a great topic. And I love talking to students about this because I think I love specialization. And so I see both sides, right? I'm a specialist. I love specialization, but I know sometimes as a student, you don't know yet. And so I think it's fine to keep an open mind. Like I said, I did my cardiopulmonary residency after I had been out for 5 years. Now that did create some unique challenges because I already was working full time, and sometimes in residency is sometimes taking a step back from that. But I really think it took me that time to know myself as a therapist and know what I wanted and what I was passionate about, and then move into that. And so I think that's fine too. If you want to move forward and you've got it, then consider it, think about it, explore. I think the best thing about the way that our residencies and fellowships are designed is that, or specializations even, is that there is a ton of information out there and you can find out so much. And I think people are willing to talk about it. And you can reach out to residency programs. You can reach out to people who are specialists. You can find someone to talk to about it. And so I think that's another cool thing of this webinar is hearing about all those different pathways. As if it's just a spark or you think maybe you want to do it, but you don't know yet, come and listen and find out, because the people are there and available. And then email us and follow up, make those connections, and then see where that leads.
Terry, the question I had for Rajashree and Leslie was just that if we have a lot of students that listen to the podcast, and so what elevator pitch would you have for them, for those students that are not currently in clinicals, are not working? What would be your pitch to them to maybe consider A, just specializing, and then B, of course, wanting to specialize in the cardiopulmonary section?
I think specialization really gives you an opportunity to delve deep into what you're interested in and learn probably a lot more than you maybe thought you would need to know, or topics outside of maybe what your niche current interest is in. But it opens up your world as to all the different things that physical therapy is able to provide for patients throughout. And then it also deepens your knowledge that you're able to give better, more complete care for those patients in those unique environments, I think. And so then as for cardiopulm specifically, I've just found a lot, particularly working in acute care, everyone has a heart and lungs. You're going to find threads or through lines throughout all the different levels of care about how your physical activity and things are going to be impacted by all the different comorbidities and things that go along with the cardiac and pulmonary system.
So are you saying that cardiopulmonary specialization is not only acute care?
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah.
I know we're on the acute care podcast, but yeah, it really is one of those specialties that it becomes a big base, right? Even if you go into it, you can come out practicing in so many different facets, just very deeply.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Deep understanding. That's really great. Remind me, when is the webinar? I know I just had it up on the APTA website.
It's
I have December 11th.
11.
December 11th
Yeah.
at
7 p.m.
Eastern,
Yes.
6 Central. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really great webinar to get to hear your experiences.
Fantastic. Any other final thoughts? Again, the purpose of the podcast today is just to drum up get some information so that our listeners know that this webinar is going to be coming up in December, and hopefully they come and participate.
Yeah, I think I want, like you said, students, definitely very important, because even if you're not ready to do specialization as soon as you're out, because you need few years of experience, you need to find where you are passionate about. You can see that even if there are many places, maybe the residencies are not available for cardiopulmonary, But you can reach out, like Leslie was saying, you can find mentorship, you can find avenues how to get there. And I think people are eager to always guide others to get to where you are, and that's how our profession grows, I feel. So I do want everybody to tune in, and definitely this is cardiopulm, but it can apply to any specialty really, even if we don't have acute care specialty right now and we're working on it. But the pathways can apply to a lot of different things. It's finding what you want to do and why you want to do that.
I think that's great. Thank you, Raj.
So usually at the end of our podcast here, we like to have some quick questions.
Oh yeah, and all CCSs should know it is rapid responses.
Rapid responses.
We're gonna fire off a question, and all three of you you don't think. You just the first thing that comes to your mind, just spit it out. I will set up the timer. We have three of them. What do you think, Nicole? How long should we set this time? Should we extend it a little bit for all three of them?
Oh yeah, maybe we need 90 seconds.
90 seconds. I like it. All right.
Okay, are we going to have a pattern? How are we going to do it?
Look how organized you are, Leslie.
Let's do alphabetical, right?
Alphabetical.
Okay.
So we're gonna go by first names. So we're gonna go Leslie, Rajashree, and then Terry. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
I will go ahead and I'll hit start, and I'm going to go ahead and ask the first question. Is everyone ready?
We're ready.
All right. First question. What's your most favorite color set of scrubs?
Oh, always wear forest green.
Forest green.
I like navy, and that's what I'm wearing usually. So
Maybe. Terry?
I might have to go with the navy. I have currently, as you can maybe see, like light gray, and just you can see like everything that gets on the light gray. So I think you need to go with those darker colors.
Awesome.
All right. What is your favorite rainy day activity?
Oh, sitting on the couch with a blanket and a book.
I don't mind going out in the rain as long as it's not pouring and get little sprinkles on you.
Aww. How about you, Terry?
Yeah, I'm going to repeat Leslie there. I think finding a good book and being by a window, watching the rain and reading a book sounds pretty nice.
Let's say you just got out of a long day at work, and what's your go-to drink after a long day at work?
Ooh. Cold water.
Cold water.
I know, that's why I was laughing, because I'm same. Like, I'm sorry, I don't have anything more for us to say about it.
I guess I'm going to go with, I think everyone needs a happy hour. So I would go with any IPA probably would do me just fine.
When you said cold water, I was thinking about like the first thing when you take off a mask and the PPE is, I need some water. Okay, I have a good one for you all. How fast do you think you could run a mile pushing a crash cart?
That's a good one.
A mile?
That is so long.
Maybe we should do 100 meters. Like
100 meters.
One part of a track, not a whole one.
So my rule for running is to finish in the upright position, but you don't have to be first. So as long as you get there cart intact, it doesn't matter how long it takes.
And my goal is to get there and not that crash cart meeting for me.
Where'd you go? Where did the therapist go?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the crash carts sometimes have rickety wheels. So I might just be trying to get it there as well and just not falling and tipping the whole cart with me.
All right, we're at time. So final question for you all. You can give yourself maybe a second or two to think about it. You're on acute care when, complete the sentence.
I would say I know I am in acute care when you spent 30 minutes with a patient just to go to the restroom and their question is, that's all we're doing today?
Absolutely.
I'm on the same line. Like you're in acute care when you are untangling lines and wiping somebody's bumps. I did not know in PT school when I went that I'll be doing that.
I guess I might say you're an acute care therapist, and I always think about whenever I'm watching like TV shows or something like that, and I see like someone intubated or an EKG on the screen and things like that, and I'm like, I'm always like, okay, is that the appropriate rhythm or intubation like method for this patient at that time? And I'm always like, they did okay.
You know what I saw? Funny thing. I saw somebody putting non-rebreather mask completely deflated, and they were talking about all these things. Oh, he needs oxygen. And I'm like, please inflate that.
Well, Leslie, Rajashree, Terry, thank you so much for joining us for the podcast today. Again, you have your webinar that's coming up December 11th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So hopefully for our listeners, please make it a point to come. And again, the title is Vital Pathways, Advancing Physical Therapy in Cardiovascular and Pulmonary Specialty. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Good to see you.
Bye.
Take care, y'all.
Take care.
We would like to thank Leslie, Rajashree, and Terry for joining us on the podcast. Acute Conversations is the official podcast of APTA Acute Care. This episode was hosted by Arguelles and Nicole Neveau. Executive produced by Katie Brito and Edward Mathis. Music by Alexia Action from Pixabay. For more information about APTA Acute Care, be sure to check out our show notes for links and resources from the Academy. If you found value from our podcast, please be sure to subscribe, follow, and share with your friends and colleagues. Join us next time for another engaging acute care conversation. Thank you for listening, and may your shoes and scrubs stay clean today.
In today's episode, our guests are Leslie Ayres, Rajashree Mondkar, and of course, I can't find it now.
Wah, wah.
I wrote this and I didn't. Okay, we're going to have to redo this.